Hello, boys and girls. How are you today? I hope you guys are doing awesome. Okay, so all these couple of weeks we've been talking about artists, about musicians, about performing arts like dancing and all of that great stuff. And we also have been talking about what makes an artist. Okay, so we've learned that we can make instruments, and that's what we can use to be in a band, or maybe to be in an orchestra. And the word orchestra is very unique. It's not something that we hear a lot. A lot of us will hear like names of bands, like a rock band or a pop band or things like that. But we don't usually hear about an orchestra. Now, a band can be different. It's very different. A band can consist of a group that plays a guitar, that maybe plays some drums, that might play different types of guitar, like an electric guitar, a regular acoustic guitar. They might have drums. They might have a keyboard where it looks like a piano, but it's not a piano, it's a keyboard. They might have some trumpets. It's different types of bands have different types of instruments. Well, an orchestra is very, very different, very unique. In an orchestra, they don't really sing. You know, like in a band, you have a rock band, and they're singing. You have artists that sing with the band members. In an orchestra, it's all about listening to the beautiful sound that the different instruments make. And in an orchestra, you're going to find unique instruments, not an instrument that you would find in every band. Some bands may have them, but by the most part, a band or a group will not have the instruments that an orchestra has. For example, an orchestra has many different unique instruments, like a piccolo, like a violin, a trombone. Like, there's different ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a video to see. And in this video, they show what a real live orchestra looks like. So like, if you ever decide that you want to go see an orchestra perform, then you would be able to go to this place. You would sit down quietly. You'd be dressed up so nice and pretty and handsome. And then you would listen to the music. Because again, the orchestra does not actually have a singer unless that orchestra is playing for an opera singer. Then that's a different story. All right, so I'm going to show you the video, and then we're going to go through my book, and we're going to look through the book, and we're going to read a little bit about it, but we're not going to read the whole thing because it is a very long, long book. And I just want to show you what an orchestra is all about. Ready? Let's watch.
Do you hear that beautiful music? The music is being played by an orchestra. An orchestra is made up of people called musicians. They play many different kinds of musical instruments, like drums and horns and flutes and violins. A conductor stands at the front of the orchestra and makes sure all the musicians are playing together and following the same beat or rhythm. That way, the orchestra can make beautiful music.
So, as you can see, an orchestra is ran by a conductor. Can you guys say conductor? Good job. Now, somebody will say, yeah, but a conductor also runs a train. Well, that's a train conductor. This is an orchestra conductor. And normally what they have is they have this little stick, and their little stick goes, and then if they want that particular person to play, they go. All this fun and amazingness happens, and this conductor is conducting all these beautiful musicians, all this huge orchestra that has many different types of instruments to play them, and it sounds so beautiful. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and read my book. It is called Meet the Orchestra. And Meet the Orchestra is written by the author Anne Hayes. She is the one that wrote this book. And the person that made these beautiful pictures, it's actually a she. She is the illustrator. Can you guys say illustrator? Good job. An illustrator, his or her job is to illustrate the book. That means they're going to provide the beautiful pictures for the book. And look at this musician. He's kind of an odd musician. Is that a raccoon? Is this an orchestra of animals? I don't know. What instrument is he playing? Let's find out. So again, like I said, an orchestra is put together by many, many, many musicians that are there playing many different instruments. So when you do go to the orchestra, you see the hippo family and you see the cheetah. See that right there is a ticket. They got all dressed up and they're paying for their ticket to see the performance of the orchestra. Let's take a peek of what's going to take place at this orchestra. Look at, they're already walking in and getting ready to be seated. See? They get seated. They got to be nice and quiet and very respectful. Wow, this is an interesting orchestra. Very different than the one we saw. The orchestra plays tonight. The audience has arrived. The musicians are coming on stage with their instruments. What a lot of different kinds they play. Strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion. Look at that. All the different types of instruments that they play. That young lady right there that little rabbit has a flute, just like they showed you on the video, and a violin like they showed you on the video. So violin players with like instruments sit together in families. A violin belongs to the string family, along with the viola and the cello and the big string bass. You play all of these with a bow or pluck them with your fingers. The violin is the smallest of the string instruments. Its song can be bright as laughter, light as air, soft as a whisper, or sad as a tear. So a violin is part of this string family. See the viola? That is the viola that is also part of the string family. Now, if you look at them, they are not the same size and they do not play the same music. Here's the cello and the string bass. See how much bigger they are? So this is a cello and this is a string bass. The string bass actually goes on the floor, and that one is played with their fingers and also with the bow. Sorry, the bow. So the violin is the smallest of the string family, and the string bass is the largest. Now, the flute. We have, again, wind instruments. The flute belongs to the woodwind family, along with the piccolo, a bow, a basin, and a clarinet. You blow into the instrument to play them. At one time, all of them were made of wood. Today, the flute is often made of silver or even gold. Wow. To play the flute, you hold it sideways, tighten your lips, and blow across the air hole. With practice, you can trill like a bird or play slow, quivering notes as cool as a mountain stream. So, Miss Charo, when I was young and I was in the band, I used to play the flute. It's a lot of hard work to learn how to play the flute. So this is the flute. This is one of the larger of the wind family. And the piccolo is a little sister of the flute. So the piccolo is actually, a flute could be this long. Yeah, it's about this long. And a piccolo is actually this little. So when they play the piccolo, they go like this. When we play the flute, we go like this. Yeah. So the piccolo is still the family member of the flute. The oboe is this one right here. Again, that's also on the mouthpiece and you push the little buttons. Then you got the basin, and that is a very different, unique instrument. Look at that. Those are all part of the woodwind family, okay? Because remember, they said at one point, all of these used to be made out of wood. Then you have the clarinet, and the clarinet has two different forms. You have the straight clarinet, okay? And this clarinet just is, I love the way the clarinet sounds. The flute is one of my favorite instruments because it sounds so beautiful. But this one right here, this clarinet is also known as a bent clarinet. So it's the same, but different. And they make two different sounds. Then you have the horn family. Remember they said you had the horn family? Well, this French horn is part of the horn family. And look at all of this. And you press, it's got three little buttons right here that you're going to push, but how you blow is what makes the sound. So this is a French horn, okay? And this is made out of the brass family and the powerhouse of the orchestra. This is the one powerful that you could hear in the orchestra. So that's a French horn. Then you have the trumpet. That's also part of the brass family. And you got the tuba. The tuba is really big. Like my head can fit inside of this tuba. And that one tends to be the biggest. Then you have the timpani and the kettle drums. The timpani and the kettle drums are, now these are not like your regular drums. These are very unique drums that almost look like a big bowl, like a big, large bowl. It's a percussion section of the orchestra, and everything that is beaten, banged, dinged, or ping belongs there. So any drum, any cymbal, any of those things belongs in the timpani and in the percussion instruments. Here goes the cymbals. Again, part of the percussion family. And then you have the unique piano. Who has ever heard a piano play? A piano is so beautiful. So when you sit down at the piano, the black and white keys make your fingers want to dance. From the center, you can play them all, the high ones on the right and the low ones on the left. When you hear a murmur of notes burst into thundering chords, then fade into silence, it is probably the voice of the piano. When it is over, you may want to clap or even cry. Yay! Beautiful! So a piano. The conductor. What did we learn about the conductor? The conductor leads the orchestra. Yes, this conductor, man or woman, is very important for an orchestra to work and flow. Without the conductor, that orchestra is going to be a hot mess. But he or she will direct, and they use their fineness of their hands and that little stick, and every movement means something. It's crazy. We also tend to call him the maestro. See here, this conductor is coming and he's getting ready to perform. All the musicians are taking their places. The strings, who are by far the largest group of players, sit in the front, almost filling the stage. The woodwinds is close together and the center. The brass and percussions are in the back. And the conductor strides on stage in front of the orchestra, raises his baton, and the music begins. Let's see. And it all sounds beautiful. And even though it looks a little crazy and chaotic, that conductor has full control of his entire orchestra. That is pretty interesting. And when they're done, they go home. So we learned something new that we probably never would have seen before, which is an orchestra. So if you ever get a chance to see a beautiful orchestra perform live, you should take advantage because it's going to be awesome. So What I would like for you guys to tell me is, what was your favorite instrument? Which one did you think you would like the best? Would you like to play a violin? Would you like to play a flute? Would you like to play a clarinet, a bass, a drum? What would you like to play if you were in the orchestra? Or would you like to be the conductor? Let me know.